beautiful hostess has set the tone very differently from what I'm used to. And I think we should learn from her. And before I start, I would like to start with a little bit of a disclaimer. It's been a very torturous night. Had very little time to prepare for it. So the keynote address is a little different, as you will notice. Can we have the presentation today, please? Okay, perfect. Thank you. So while the topic is all about AI and its usage, etc., the disclaimer is very plain and simple. I'm an old-fashioned man. I've had a torturous night simply because I was trying to prepare for it. The only disclaimer that I give you today is whatever I say today, with all its mistakes and errors, all are mine. Please do not blame ChatGPT or anything else for it. If nothing else, the presentation and these handwritten notes should prove it, that what I'm trying to do is just tell you whatever little I know. And of course, you, the industry leaders, would know much more than what I can tell you. So, with further ado, I would like to start the basic address. Morning, esteemed members of the banking and financial industry, thought leaders, tech innovators, and distinguished guests. It is a matter of great pride and honor for me to stand here before you and talk to you and discuss with you the future and also the transformative forces that are playing a role in the future of our industry. These forces will have immense play in the days to come, and we should be ready and preparing. The scope of this particular presentation is very simple. I have tried to keep it as light as possible. I think all these hardwired and important phrases and keywords have already been used by the hostess. I'll try and avoid them as much as possible. Okay, going further, let's, just for the sake of introduction, and because this is my field, let's look at it, and let's look at it with a little bit of a difference. The beaten down track of Aadhaar has always been what we have done for inclusion, what we have done in providing the digital stack, the India stack that we call it, and how the financial inclusion, it has also resulted in various applications that have been built on top of it. Okay. Let's look at it a little differently. Like any organization, we are evolving. So Aadhaar, as India's digital identity, is continuing to evolve, and we are looking to enhance our features, getting more accessibility, security, and efficiency. The new features introduced will make this digital inclusion more seamless and also provide us with an opportunity to reach and penetrate the market in numbers which are astounding. I shall cover it a little later. Since the tone has been set differently, let's also look at least one key feature of Aadhaar which generally nobody talks about. And let's look at more like in terms of a fun fact so that at least we can keep awake through this address. As you notice, there is something called lifelong and beyond. This is just a reminder that the unique identity that we give you is not just in life, it is yours for afterlife. If you could convince God that this is the best way, maybe Aadhaar would move beyond just the Indian boundaries. If you remember, there used to be an old saying, from LIC, Zindagi ke saath bhi aur zindagi ke baad bhi. I think this is the digital identity that we give you and you carry forward, not in this life, but also in afterlife. It is just a 12-digit number, and that is how we see it. But for the people outside the formal economy, it is a platform, a gateway, and a bridge which links them to various services, various sectors, various subsidies, banks, benefits, and an increasing number of AI-powered solutions which help them gain access to services and other fields which they had no idea about. Together, this particular the box that we have built is streamlining service delivery, reducing leakages for the government. Just talking about a rough figure. Last year when we were estimating with the Secretary DBT on the kind of savings that the government has done through this, it turns out to be close to about 3.5 lakh crores. That is just a rough estimation, it could only be more. So that is the kind of transparency, reducing of leakages, etc. that is happening. And most importantly, it is empowering our residents to ask questions. Today, the generation has never stood in the line to make a train reservation. When they walk into my office with a grievance for Aadhaar, and I look at their faces, it is so difficult to tell him that your packet has got stuck for a little while, it will take a little while, there is some corruption. He is not ready to accept it. His gratification need is instant. He needs it now. He needs an answer from me then and there, something which is actually very difficult, something that I could never do with possibly even a year senior to me a couple of years back. But that's the younger generation, and they're used to it. So we all know, and I said we will just cover it in brief so that it remains an introductory part. If you look at it, the growth in digital payments, the Aadhaar laid the foundation for the digital economy and the digital ecosystem. Over a period of time, we have built a whole lot of, applications which ride on it, and we have basically today riding towards a cashless and a paperless society. It has been a catalyst for innovation. A whole lot of powerful solutions are running, and inclusive, framework is being built around it. And lastly, if you look at the growth, it is an astounding figure from 2,000 crores in 2017-18 to now about 19,000 crores in year 23-24, which is at a CAGR of 44%. I would ask punters to bet on it, but I will give you an even more astounding figure later, and that is the reason I'm holding that comment now. Let's look at UPI. It is today a part of brand India like Taj Mahal. It is showcased at airports for visiting dignitaries. This is what has happened. If you look at it from a humble start of 92 crores in 2017-18, it has gone on to become 13,000 crores. Gentlemen, I'm talking about transactions. I'm not talking about the money here. Please look at it differently. Even a single rupee makes it 13,000 crores. This is the power. If you were a punter, this is what you should have betted. You should have betted this, 129% of CAGR. Around 46% of the global financial transactions today, as per the data received by ACI worldwide, are happening in India. This is where we stand. This, at the moment where AI is just getting introduced into various features of Aadhaar. We ourselves are working on it. And there are future things that are coming in, as I brought out in my first couple of slides. We are looking at getting in more and more of these things to help and build a more seamless future. Aadhaar has always been at the heart of innovation. It started with demographic details. It gave you a number. It captured your finger and iris. Today, we are moving to something called face authentication, which is basically an India-made thing, thanks to IIT Mumbai. I think Mumbai has already been spoken about enough. Okay, so thanks to IIT Mumbai and the various field leaders from Hyderabad in this field. So face authentication already captures a huge amount of AI and ML. It is being built to give you seamless access and overcome a whole lot of issues. As we already brought out in lots of forums, and it will be a repetition, so I don't want to go too much, data is the new oil, and digital ID is the new currency. We will cover it a little later. So face authentication is what I mentioned. So please look at face authentication and what it gives you today. It is basically providing you consent at the start. Unlike other means of authentication, where if you say OTP, what is getting authenticated is the mobile number and not you. The face authentication provides you consent and presence at the start. So that is a wonderful thing. It overcomes a whole lot of issues, which includes costs of machinery. Where if you have to capture the iris or the fingerprint, you need a separate equipment. The face authentication is independent of that. Then you come across the various issues that are there with respect to the certain class of people, I was talking to sir sitting right across from the Tata Motors, and he was telling me no more can his fingerprint work. I said, sir, damn good. And from my side, that's the best thing that can happen. Let's ask your society to switch to face authentication. And there it is. We have a solution today which is so simple to implement. And as I said earlier, I would not like to use too much of jargon. All of it has already been used by her already. There's nothing left. Okay? So let's keep it very simple. So that is what is face authentication for you. And the biggest advantage, please understand this very clearly. We are opening up a market and giving you a reach to more than 85 crore people, all of whom are carrying that smart device in their hand. Just think about it. That's the kind of reach we're giving you. The NIC has already built a software called, I think it's called BAS. I don't remember the full form immediately, I'm sorry. But just look at it. That software, that app is ready to integrate with any of the solutions that you're thinking of. And there it is available. There's nothing for you to build separately. The face authentication, the API comes linked. And NIC has already built a software called BAS, which links you to, it's capable of linking it to other applications that you are thinking in terms of. Things are ready. What we need from you is just vision and the willingness to move forward. Let's go a little further. The government in all of this, and it must be praised for it, has been a key. It has already provided huge amount of structural and monetary support through the National AI Mission. It is basically about inclusive growth. The government is looking to set up cutting-edge and scalable AI infrastructure. It has given you a layout of 10,000 crores. The model to be followed for this is PPP. Various sectors could benefit by coming across and joining us in this collaborative issues. Okay, we at Aadhaar are also, would like to believe a little nimble. So it's not that we have, just left it to the government of India. We at our own end have created something called a sandbox. If the financial industry and the AI has to train, learn, play, you have to give it a certain amount of data. Without the data, the AI cannot be modeled and worked around or made to learn new things. The Aadhaar sandbox gives you Aadhaar data which is clean, related, authenticated. It is structured. What we give you, of course, is a sandbox where the data is masked and your activities also. We are looking at flowback from you on what you learn. It's a simple case of both of us partnering together and learning. Towards this, when you're able to play with this data, you should be able to be in a position to give us smart and even more effective solutions which are both differentiated and personalized. That is what we are looking forward to you. Okay, this is a slide that I have seen, I think, in every AI function of mine. Going over it again and again is brobeat, and I really don't want to go too much into it, but just look at it. There's everything that it gives you. If you want to do credit scoring for people who are not in the formalized sector, you have the Aadhaar data to work on the credit history, an alternate source of credit. Direct, you're looking at fraud. You have an authentication mechanism and a profile. You know how he does authentication. Identity theft could be looked at from that prism. Similarly, I could go on and on, but fact is that all of this are things that AI and Aadhaar could work together, which basically means the fintech and us. And what I'm only trying to hint at is this is just a demonstrative slide. What is possible is only limited by your imagination and the ethical conduct. So your imagination cannot be just imagination. It has to be ethical imagination. That's it. That is the only ask. Okay. A very important slide, and again, this particular slide, again, is shown in most sectors wherever I have visited. These are the challenges that everybody talks about on a daily basis. So to keep the time short, I will not really, because she's already throwing me time up. Okay, so we'll move quickly. I thought it was 20 minutes, right? So it is what, 20 minutes up? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so let's go to what I really wanted to talk about today. I wanted to get the focus back on the man and the machine. We are all going to deal with the AI era. The organizational issues are something that nobody wants to talk about. They're talked about in hushed tones by only HR and maybe the people who are getting the pink slip. That's not true. What we need today from the AI is to be able to build, AI-driven knowledge banks. Manpower is always going to be even more transient today. Unless you have these knowledge banks and you are able to store and recreate and leverage the expertise and knowledge that you have developed over decades, it will get lost. Let's move a little, you're talking about AI replacing humans. I don't think so, not across the board. Yes, at certain fields, but not across the board. It will, however, redefine how we work. Upskilling and retraining would be the job of the company and the firm. You need to look at it. And most importantly, the human interface between the AI and the customer. The human interface will need to understand what the customer needs. He will also need to ask the right questions, pose the right questions to the data, get a solution, and have the ability to explain the proposed solution to the customer and its logic. Just telling him what the solution is not going to work. Mentoring talent. I think this is the most challenging part in the AI era. With AI, the performances, trends with respect to all the employees are likely to rise. Sometimes the voice of dissent is the voice of progress. You will have to look and understand the man who challenges the input of AI. This is the guy you need to mentor. He's the guy who will become a future leader for you and probably give you a much better output later. Lastly, always, ethical conduct. She's already mentioned the term hyper-personalized finance, but again, the data management between the data principal and data fiduciary will always remain an issue. Please remember, the line between perceived consent and perceived breach of trust will always be thin. I think there is time for me to shorten a little bit somewhere, so let's move a little quicker. I thought this is the last and the most important step in the domain. Let's go back to basics and look at what Steve Jobs told us long back. He said you have to start with the customer experience and work backwards to the technology. I think that is what we need to model. We need to understand what the customer needs and what are his interests. Technology will give us the means to leapfrog ahead, create differentiated solutions, create patents for you. The desire should not only be profit. Look at it from the point of customer. Please do a customer-centric approach, self-regulate, set higher ethical standards, and the navigation through the AI era where digital data will always be at compromise will be very simple. That is what we feel. Lastly, I just would like to sum up and say Aadhaar is not just a number. It has been the cornerstone of India's digital revolution. When we combined it with the effect of AI, it can change the way we look at all the finance, innovation, and even inclusion. The ecosystem, however, must remain inclusive, efficient, accountable, and transparent. Because finally, trust is the ultimate currency in a digital ID. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm sorry for taking more time.